Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the level 180 stats for the last time because I am sick and tired of talking about this crap for 4 years straight. It's just so crazy. You know, I was talking to my admins, my mods the other day, and they genuinely think I should be paid to be doing the work I'm doing for the game at this point. Like, at this point, I should be a King's Isle fucking community manager with the amount of shit I have to do, and not just me, by the way. Other people in the community, you know, that go out of their way to test stuff and meta reporting, all that stuff, genuinely feel like an unpaid community manager or like an unpaid QA tester working for King's Isle. So I'm just over, making videos like these, but this will be the last one I make talking about this. I'm just going to focus on other content like I've been saying here, and that's again why I haven't been posting a whole lot lately, y'all. Ever since the stock caps came out for 180, I am just not really interested in Darkmoor. You can kind of see that on the channel here, right? I was very, very excited and hyped for it. Then they fucked up the stats, and here we are. So, it's what it is. So, in this video, I have made a couple of different points, and I've gathered clips and whatnot from the KI Live itself, and from one of my streams as well to try and explain things, because sometimes just saying how it is isn't enough. You have to walk people through step by step and show them stuff like that, which it's fine. I get it, people need to learn, but again, at the end of the day, it's kind of wild when it's the literal developers of the game, like, you gotta do all this stuff for, you know what I mean? But whatever. So yesterday there was it a Rap Beard Rumble or a Punch Out? I forget, honestly. There's a bunch of terminologies. I think there's a Punch Out. I think the Rap Beard Rumble is when you can't deck fill and you take good players on there, but this one was a Punch Out. Basically, it's where like community members make a meta build or whatever, and then they trade hits back and forth. And this is the devs' way of validating their combat model, in a sense. I personally think the way they do this is okay for them, I guess. Obviously, this is not how PvP plays out at all, but there's clearly flaws with it, right? Because last time they, had a Punch Out like this, it was the same result, and I'm going to play this clip, which I'll probably reference many times in this video. So according to them, their combat model was balanced at 170, and again, I'm gonna play the clip here and I'll kind of just let this speak for itself. Okay, do I just click the silly headless card? I could Surge because I don't have to care about him having a better trade than me because I have better stats than him. So actually, this is a terrible move I'm making, but because I'm on a better school, I can get away with it. Right? It doesn't matter that he has a better trade than me, because stat diffy. So if he does take like an open buff hit here, I can just trade an unbuffed hit and I'll be fine. Yeah, so exactly, right? So this is a very good move he's making, but the issue is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? So I could headless through this, or I could hit and bubble, or I could ghoul. Obviously hit and bubble is the best move, so I am gonna do that. But it doesn't really matter. I could also do this as well. I mean, I want to say I don't have to. I can just bully the shit out of him at this point. So I am just gonna do that. So I'll do this, and then my buffed hits actually do damage to him, right? Unlike his buffed hits to me. GG's Gimbal PV. Yeah, he was off to a fantastic start. It's just, if you have a death who knows what's wrong with the game and just abuse it like I did, like, there's nothing they can do. Again, that was a clip from my live stream and whatnot, and this is exactly what good players in the game abuse because they know there is a problem there and they can get away with it. So I do this all the time, right? You just kind of bully a Storm in a way, even though they have a better trade and they earned a better trade because of the stat model and how PvP, just is. It's not just trading 3-pip hits back and forth. It doesn't matter what the Storm does, right? And this clip, this was my friend Kimbo, who's, you know, he's got Warlord on, I think, almost every school. He's not definitely not a bad player, and he honestly played pretty much perfect, I would say, except for probably like one move somewhere in the middle, and then on my end I can just click whatever. Literally ran AFK. If you want to watch this live, like it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. They don't see a problem with it in live realm. So obviously if they're getting the same results from 170 and 180, they're not going to see an issue with it, even though, as you can see in that clip, it is wildly unbalanced and the players know it, so they take advantage of it. What I find really funny about this, I have to say, is there's like this one clip from the KI Live I'll play, probably like side by side with the clip from my stream when I was explaining it, but it's like really funny. There's like Rapbeard saying like, oh, you know, our model is so balanced, you know, if you want to win a trade, you need to have earn a buff out or something, but then like you actually do that in the game and it doesn't work. So it's just, oh my god, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
What we're shooting for here is pretty much this. If you are making better trades than your opponent, you should win. Like, that's really the essence of this entire game, right, as far as PvP is concerned. If you're making better trades, you should win. We keep it close, hit for hit, and then you need to do something to make your hits trade better than their hits. Shouldn't come down to your stats. Right? Shouldn't really come down to deck RNG, although obviously that is a piece of it. It really should come down to playing the right cards at the right time to win trades, and then you should be able to win.
Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the shield interaction, resist interaction. This is a stat problem because shield, damage, and pierce are all, you know, a big play in this. And again, since good players know this is a problem, they can abuse it and just play completely brain dead, you know? So I ran some scenarios here, and I'll try and get some gameplay for it in this video as well. But if a Storm casts a set shield, by the way, this is meta, meta shields on a Storm, meta shields on an ice, and meta stats on an ice, and meta stats on a Storm, by the way. So this isn't rigged at all. It's just quite literally the reality of the game and what the devs have built, right? So even though the Storm has a whole set shield and the ice only has a tower, right, of 50, right, the ice would still need to pass for 7 rounds just for the game to be even. Even, right? Not the Storm winning. Even. 7 rounds. Just let that compute. When is the last time you've even seen your opponent pass 2 rounds in a row? 7 rounds, y'all. Some games don't even last 7 rounds, like the Storm Mirror or Storm vs. Fires, Storm vs. Myth. Oh my god, it's just actually hilarious. It's actually hilarious to me, but I mean, they are aware of this problem at the end of the day. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that other schools get all of these stats, and they also get to get dual school accuracy, give up stats for masteries, and compete just fine, just like Death right now in Live Realm, again indicating there is a stat problem while maintaining full dual school pressure and mono school pressure as well. I mean, no matter how you cut this point, it's just, again, silly and unbalanced. It is what it is. Next thing I'm going to talk about is level 180 and the matchups and the meta for 180. So what the devs envisioned for Storm this update was to try and give it more survivability and slow down the pace of the game, which, I mean, okay, sure, whatever, pop off, right? But the reality of 180 PvP is it's actually sped up in a lot of senses, right? So if we take Fire versus Storm, this is one of the worst matchups in the game in Live Realm right now. It's not the worst, but it's like definitely like bottom 3, bottom 4, I would say. I think a lot of people would agree with that in the game, right? And now in 180 PvP, right, it is physically, mathematically impossible, okay, I'm using a big word here, for the Storm to beat the Fire at 180 PvP. It's literally not possible. The fire can kill the storm in 3 rounds, and the storm can't counter or slow the fire down at all. And it's the exact same thing with myth as well, by the way. But I'm just using the fire example because that's the one I actually experienced in 180 PvP. But for myth, it is quite literally the literal exact same thing, right? The fire in the myth can kill the storm in 3 rounds. The storm cannot even come close to that, right? And even if they play as aggressive as the fire or the myth, all the fire and the myth has to do is click shield once, and that's it. That's it. The storm is behind like 3 rounds, and then GG, game's over. Again, this just points out their flaw with the stat model because they were trying to slow things down and they just sped it up even more than it already was. Now, I will say there is a issue here that isn't the stats. It's the fact that we have so many hit and feints in the game now. I don't think anybody asked for this, by the way. Having literal hit and feints in PvP in the form of, like, you know, catch, brim, keeper, duel, like it's just absolutely insane. But at the same time, you're giving all these stats and all these damage to schools that just shouldn't have it in the first place. So it's a double-edged sword there. And that's gonna lead me on to my next point too, right? This one's gonna be strictly about Storm and whatnot. So I mean, again, I've kind of, you know, emotionally moved on from this, but these developers just don't know what the fuck they're doing with Storm. They just, like, they really don't. Like, in one patch, I think it was the first week of test film, I could be wrong, by the way, about this point specifically, but in one patch, Myth actually had more damage than Storm, I'm pretty sure. Not by much, but, like, the fact Myth is even close to Storm damage or equal, let alone above, is bad shit fucking crazy. Insane. Like, unacceptable. Okay? Now, they've allowed the other schools to kind of catch up to Storm damage this patch and whatnot. So, for example, in Live Realm, there's about what is there? It's between like 12 and 27 on average damage gap between the other schools and Storm. Now, this update, I'm pretty sure it's like 10, 1, or like 7 of a damage gap. And all their other stats get to go up, right? And this is also the thing, right? Because they want to think their model is so balanced. If the player knows there's a problem and the devs refuse to fix it, you're going to abuse that all the time. That's how a meta is built. That's how you win, right? That's why I complain about this stuff. Because I laugh at it. It's fucking stupid. I stream it. Everyone can see how stupid it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's dumb. It needs to be fixed. Now, I did talk to Stormbringer, I think it was probably about like 4 days ago in the Discord, and we actually had a very productive conversation. He basically said, well, I'll put it in terms people would understand. Storm is fucked, basically. He didn't say that. I'm just putting it in our terms. Storm is fucked. There's nothing they can do to fix Storm. So basically, they can give it more tankability and like the former resist and health, which they tried this update, and it did literally nothing, by the way. And then you would sacrifice all the other stats like damage and pierce, which would just obviously upset the player base, which is why we are upset this update. Again, other schools gained like 10 pierce or like a little less than 10, and Storm got 1. Stupid, both in PvP and PvP, just flat out unacceptable. Same thing with the damage too. Or on the other hand, what they could do is actually keep the damage and hopefully the pierce. I don't know if he meant the pierce or not, but keep both of those stats, keep the identity of Storm in line, but you would maintain the same issues you have at the moment in terms of like, you can't shield on a Storm and other schools can shield, for example. So basically, no matter what the devs do, they're fucked because of how they've designed their game and their philosophy. Now, obviously, if players could pick between one of those two options, we would, you know, pick the one where you have the school identity of, you know, actually having more pierce than freaking dumbass Balance and Death, who are pure schools now apparently, you know, and being around like Myth and Fire, that just makes sense logically. Same thing with the most damage, right? We shouldn't have Myth 1 less damage than Storm. Pretty insane, kind of unacceptable. With Live Realm, there was a clear gap there, which no longer exists at 180, so again, kind of an issue. Myself and many other players literally have been saying this, I think, since like 2 weeks at Test Realm, but literally all they should have done is take the 170 stat model, scale that to 180, and then like standardize the dual school, right? If you did that, maybe Storm would have had a chance. I still think it would be bad, because there's a bunch of, you know, other variables in play. Like, compared to every other school, they would still be bad, but you could at least feel like a Storm, and you could at least maybe compete and have like 1 or 2 good matchups. But as of right now, at 180, I don't think you have one good matchup. You could set super hard for life, and then lose to every other school, I guess. But that's about it. Okay, so now I want to talk about another point that actually wasn't my idea, but I think it was Wizard or my chat who came up with the idea. But they're talking about level 50 because, in case you guys don't know, the stats are generally more balanced at lower levels because the legacy design was better for the stats. You actually have stats at lower level. Every school has stats. There's not just a statless school like Storm has been at max level for the past couple of years. Okay, but basically the point of that is you still have some wiggle room, even though let's take the same matchup, Storm vs Fire at max level 180 and 50. Both of those matchups can end in 3 rounds. Even though one's 180, one's level 50, they can both end in 3 rounds. Okay, the difference is at level 50 there's actual identity and the stats are standardized, and dare I say balanced, right? I remember my first time being at 50 and I hit through a shield as a Storm and it actually did damage. I was like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I am on a Storm. At max level, doesn't work like that. Not at all. Every other school's a Storm against a Storm, but you can't do shit through a shield. Yeah, back on point here, sorry. At level 50, the stats actually make sense and whatnot, right? Because Storm has the most damage. They also have the most pierce at level 50, right? Not by much. That's all about the same. The pierce is like 1 or 2 difference at level 50. But at max level, we got like 16 pierce gaps. We got like 85% resist gaps at max level. We got 6,000 health gaps now at level 180 as well. Like, bro, I mean, they should just look into that, and they probably will find out something helpful, because like, I mean, I feel like that was a very good point the community made. Again, it wasn't even my idea, but I feel like that's a very good point the community did make there, right? They're both very similar. You die in 3 rounds, but one, you have a little more wiggle room to recover. You don't just instantly lose like max level, right? And the stats at lower level actually make more sense, and there's not fucking Grand Canyons, 6k more health, 80 more resist, 16 more pierce. Like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, I mean, there's probably a bunch more I could include in this video, but it's already a long enough video and whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, to summarize this up, they need to fix the shield, resist, pierce, whatever interaction. They need to get Storm's identity back. They need to, you know, figure out what the hell they're gonna do with the stats and whatnot, because as a Storm right now, your damage and pierce isn't even competitive versus the other schools, and well, you can't shield, and your resist doesn't work anyways, because for free 5 out of 7 schools still pierce you, just like at 170. So you didn't fix the problem going from 170 to 180, you know. So they got to figure out what they're doing here. That just is a reality. That is what it is. And yeah, this is probably the last time I'll talk about it in terms of, like, you know, video content and whatnot. But yeah, that's everything for the video, y'all. If you have any questions, I will help you with that in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.
If you are making better trades than your opponent, you should win.